Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Morning Show with your hosts, Wayne and Gabby.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Welcome to the Canadian Real Estate Investing Morning Show, everybody.
Today's
Today's show.
Sorry. I just want to say happy Monday.
Okay.
It's a new week.
On today's show, we're going to be diving into how to build a lease agreement. Are you a real estate investor? Do you not have a lease agreement? Tune in today.
Yes. I think that a strong rental lease agreement, it really sets the foundation for your whole business. And so I'm excited that we have the opportunity to talk about this. It was actually a question that was emailed in from a listener. So it's not something we normally dive into. And I'm glad that we get the opportunity to today.
It's something we've never dived into before, ever, on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not that I can remember.
We're coming up on over 1,200 episodes, something like that.
Yeah.
Never, ever talked about this on the show. So what a great question that was sent in, and thank you so much for sending it in. If you guys have any questions that you want answered on the show, we provide free coaching and free education for real estate investors across Canada every weekday morning at 7 a.m. on YouTube. All you need to do is just join us. You can join us live on YouTube. You can just look up Wayne Hillier, and you'll see that Wayne is live. Or you can email in your questions if you can't make it to the live show. You can email them into info@reimorningshow.com. Send in your questions. We will answer them. We can dive through it. We can turn it into a whole show, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, we are broadcasting live. We are broadcasting live from Edmonton, Alberta. But what's the weather looking like across Canada today?
The weather today will be 26 degrees in Edmonton, 15 degrees in Vancouver, 26 degrees in Winnipeg, 21 degrees in Toronto, and 12 degrees in Halifax.
Awesome. Thanks, Evie.
Are we missing your town? Do you want your town on the weather? Please, you can email that in as well. Hey.
Yes, let us know.
I want to... what about the Sioux? What about the Sioux? Someone from Sault Ste. Marie's.
I think that Chris is he's trying to tell us that he wants Hamilton on the weather, but instead he's just providing the weather for Hamilton.
Oh, Chris says sunny and 24 in the Hammer.
Okay, it says I already submitted that request. I don't recall receiving that request.
Pardon?
It's awesome. Okay, maybe I'll add it in tomorrow. Sound good, Chris? You're going to be here? You're going to show up? It'll be just for you.
Are you ready for an exciting week?
I am. I like the Monday energy. I like that, all the possibilities of what a new week can bring closes out the last week. I don't know, I'm not mad when Monday comes. I know that a lot of people are like, oh, Monday. But I don't know. I just feel like as long as you start Monday on a good foot, that the rest of the week should be, relatively follow suit.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't agree?
I don't know. Nobody does anything on the weekends. And it's so I find that work tends to pile up on Monday mornings. Not work. It's not work. It's like things that need to be responded to. i.e., people will send out all of their, it's Monday, I better get through my list. I'm like, okay, I got to email this person, message this person. And then it seems like there's an overwhelming bottleneck on Mondays where it just seems like it's a little bit too much. My weekly meetings are on Mondays as well. Mm-hmm. So I almost feel like it's not just like I'm trying to catch up on Mondays. It's like people are trying to catch up on Mondays, and that's when they send all their stuff out. That's also when I have all my meetings, and that's when we set out what we're going to be working on for the week. And so I find it to be a little overwhelming.
That's fair.
And I need to stop booking additional meetings on Mondays. I have a very busy day today. I'm going to be running around, and I do not believe there's enough hours in the day in order to get everything done.
That's fair.
But yeah. I'm heading to one of our properties today, or one of our new acquisitions. Well, I guess we haven't removed conditions on it yet. But we're going to be building a new garden suite, a multi-unit garden suite on this property. But we need to meet with our builder and make sure that the suitability is right. It checks all the boxes as far as the numbers, the zoning requirements, the lot size, all of those things, the setbacks. It's just there's a few more things in regards to utilities that we need to double check on. So I'm meeting with our builder and a few other people this morning, pretty much right after the podcast. I got a couple of meetings and then I got to go run and do that. So it's going to be a little busy today, but I'm excited for it. This property that we found, that we negotiated a really good price on, it honestly, I'm excited for it. Yeah. It's a huge property.
It is. It's a huge property, but also the existing house as well is like a lot of square footage. It's huge.
It's like 50% bigger than like any other property we would normally buy.
Yeah.
It's big.
Yeah. And like you wouldn't expect it from the outside at all. Like it just looks like a normal house. And so it is exciting. It's like, and then you get into the back and it's like, whoa, like it's huge. Yeah.
It's got a big old booty.
It's got a big old booty.
It's got a big booty. And so it's like, it's literally perfect for what it is that we're planning on developing on that property. Yeah. The existing dwelling is fantastic. We won't even touch it, which is great. It doesn't cost us any extra money. Yeah. And the back is literally ready to go and to build on. So we're very excited for that. So I'm going to go see that, I believe this morning at around 10 or 11 a.m. So I got a bit of a busy day ahead of me, but another thing I just wanted to share with you guys is that if you guys want to learn how to build multi-unit garden suites on your properties in Edmonton, we're going to be holding what would you call it? Call it an information session, I guess. But on June 12th, we're going to be hosting the Edmonton Garden Suites 101, where we're going to be teaching you guys everything you need to know about building garden suites in Edmonton. This is the first time that we put this on. We've been keeping this in a jar with a tight lid for like 2 years. 2 years. It was June of 2024 when this concept first was what's the word? Dreamt up. Mm-hmm. And now, June of 2026, we're finally releasing it to the public. We just hosted our bus tour a couple weekends ago where we showed people one of our projects that we have ongoing. And so many people are interested in about this. And it is hands down the best cash flow opportunity in Canada. Building garden suites in Edmonton is the next big thing that nobody knows about. And we are so incredibly excited to be hosting this event on June 12th. June 12th in Edmonton. You can get your tickets now. It is open. We already kind of pre-released it to our little community and to the people that came out to the bus tour. Because I know that they were very, very, very anxious to learn more about this. So now you can go get your tickets too. All you got to do is just go to our website, reimasters.ca. And go into events, or if you want the direct link, it's reimasters.ca/Edmonton Garden Suites 101.
Awesome.
Where our builder is going to be there.
Yep.
Edmonton Garden Suites is going to be there. And we're going to teach you everything about like how they work, garden suites. We're going to talk about why Edmonton specifically, because a lot of people have been asking, hey, can I do this in my city? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Maybe.
But multi-units. And that's one of the big key components of what makes it cash flow, what makes it so incredibly profitable, and what increases the cash flow so much is the fact that we're not just talking about one unit, we're talking about multi-unit garden suites. We're talking about building apartment suites in the backyard. It's crazy. It's crazy. If you guys haven't seen some of the pictures and some of the videos, I mean, like, it is absolutely crazy. Nobody else has done this in Canada. Nobody else has done this in Edmonton. We are the first, and you guys are going to literally be the first as well, as long as you jump on this opportunity soon and not wait until everybody else gets in on it, then you miss out on the opportunity. We're going to talk about how they create so much cash flow. We're going to talk about what types of properties you can build on. This is going to be very, very important because you can't just plop this on any property. There are so many requirements and so many little nuances that you need to understand before you start putting in your applications. Additionally, before you start buying any properties. I've had some people like, I'm going to go buy this property. I want to build this on it. Whoa, chill out. Like, I'm dealing with this right now. I literally have to go to the property today in order to find out. There's just a few extra little things that I need to verify before I buy this property. Because if I'm buying this property with the sole intention of just building on it, I got to know that it works, right? And then lastly, we're going to talk about the numbers that you need to understand in order to make sure that this is a good investment for you, to make sure that this property is going to work on this development's going to work on this property, and also that the numbers are going to work to make sure that it's a good investment, to make sure it's going to be profitable and it's going to have strong cash flow. If you get all of this and you understand it thoroughly, my God, the numbers are so incredibly good. So go to reimasters.ca, go get your tickets for that. There is limited seating. Please. This happens every single time. It's always like a little slow out of the gate. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, I'll get my tickets next week. It's not a big deal. I see Carmen's in the chat. She's like, nope, got mine.
Yeah, she's like so excited. Got my tickets.
Got my tickets. Fantastic. Yeah. It's weird. It's like it always starts off a little bit slow. And then there's like one day it's like, ding, ding, ba-bing, 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 ba-bing. And all the tickets are gone. And then everyone's like, okay, well, I want to come. And I'm like, no, it's limited seating. Please, for the love of God, please take this seriously because we're not holding another one until July. Okay, so we're going to hold the first one in June, then we're going to hold another one in July, okay? But that's it for the summer. Guys, please do not miss out on this, please. It is huge. And if you don't know what it is I'm talking about and you're still kind of wondering about like how big is this really, go and look at my socials. I'm sharing the progress. It's crazy. It's crazy, and the numbers are fantastic. So I'm very excited for that. Are you excited for that, Gabby?
I am. I'm extremely excited. I love that we're going to have the builder there and, being able to, there's like a big not a big portion, but there's a portion for networking and for getting an opportunity to speak with the builder, to speak with Wayne, to speak with myself and have those one-on-one conversations as well. And so I know that people they want to know what's going on. How do you do this? All that kind of stuff. So you're going to get that information, but then also the opportunity to be like, okay, so I have this really big booty on my lot. Can we talk about it? Could we see if this will work? Like, you know what I mean?
You will, the right people, all of the right people will be in that room for you to be able to make the decision to do it.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing is that like, if you hear everything and it all sounds good, then you can literally go and talk to Edmonton Garden Suites and you can literally get it built.
Yeah.
Literally, like get the process going right away.
Yeah.
And we've partnered with Edmonton Garden Suites as well. So I can verify that they are legit and they know what they're doing. They are building ours. And this is going to be a tremendous opportunity for you to get in there, find out if it works, and then literally like get the process, start the process right away to get building right away. Yeah. It doesn't take very long. I mean, the permits take a little while, but I mean, other than that, as soon as you got the shovels in the ground, it's rolling, right? I mean, we just got drywall. We got drywall up this weekend at one of ours. The other one is not far behind. The electrical was getting finished, and we should have drywall very soon in that one as well. Like, they're motoring. Another development permit just got approved last week, and that one's going to be getting excavated this week probably. Like, it's pretty freaking cool. So, anyways, go get your tickets for that. Did you say that there was a question left over from last week?
I did, yes. Let me just... Okay. So yes, Craig had a question that he plopped into the chat on Friday and we didn't get a chance. It was kind of off topic. So he had a follow-up from a previous episode where you mentioned to... Me? Yes, you. Let's see, what were we talking about? We were talking about, must have been like... Okay, so I'm just going to read the question and it'll kind of all click.
Okay.
But he said you mentioned to pick an area with a high chance of appreciation. So when talking about that, how big of an area are we talking? Are we talking about the province of Alberta? Are we talking about the city of Edmonton? Are we talking about the west end of Edmonton? Like, how big of an area are you talking about that should have a high chance for appreciation?
It's not that simple because it requires a significant amount of research. And this is kind of what we teach in our fundamentals. So if you were to join the REI Masters Mentorship Program, this is what we teach. When I always say like the first 3 months is education, this is what we teach in the first 3 months is understanding the market and doing market analysis and research to determine where those unique opportunities are. Unique opportunities for specific strategies, but also unique opportunities to buy a property with a high probability of appreciation and growth. And then not only just appreciation, but also in rental growth as well, the rental market growing and, reduce vacancies and percentages and also increase rents. So you really have to do your research. So sometimes the whole province can be a great opportunity. Sometimes the whole city can be a great opportunity. And sometimes it's only one neighborhood. So I can't say, I can't answer your question the way that you want it to be answered. But however, what is required is a significant amount of research in your market, the history of the market, what's going on with the market, what's the potential in the future for the market, what things are coming to that area, why, right? And so if you have a really good understanding of that, you will understand the probability or the potential for appreciation in that market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It seems like a deflection, but it's the answer.
Yeah, totally. And I just want to say something on that too, though, is that I think that is I like just what you said, I think was great, because I think it's a misconception that people think like, oh, the city of Edmonton is doing, or let's take Calgary, for instance, which obviously the appreciation was going nuts, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Calgary, I can invest anywhere in Calgary and my property's going to do phenomenal. It's going to appreciate so much. But that's not the case. It is so specific to, in this instance, there was lots of neighborhoods and lots of areas of the city that was going nuts.
Back
but
in 2023, 2024.
Yeah, but it wasn't every single little pocket. So you can't just blanket say that something is good or somewhere is good or that you're going to make strike gold if you invest here. That's how people get in trouble.
Yeah. I know where all the best appreciation is right now. Or the highest probability of it is right now. But I understand the history and I understand where things are going because I understand the trends. I've done a lot of research. So ultimately, what you need to do is your own research and get a really good, thorough understanding in the markets that you're investing in. And then you'll have a better understanding as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's take a quick little commercial break, and then we're going to come back into our main topic for today's episode, which is how to go about building a lease agreement for your rental property. We'll get right into that when we come back.
You are a professional real estate investor. You are not a professional boxer. And you are definitely not a professional bookkeeper. Enter Fingo. Fingo is a professional bookkeeping service by and for professional real estate investors. Your life just got a whole lot easier, and your profits are ready to soar. Leave the bookkeeping to Fingo so you can focus on what's most important, finding the next deal and raising money for it. Schedule your free consultation at fingo.com.
Okay, and we are back, and I gotta say that this coffee, it slaps today.
I agree 100%. I don't know why, but it is incredible today. It is so good. I can't
You
get
feeling
enough.
it too?
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Let me know, guys, if you're joining us on YouTube this morning. Let us know how your coffee is.
I didn't do anything different, but it is delicious.
You did something different. I don't know what you put in there, honey, but it is good. It is really good this morning.
It's awesome. Something in the water today.
Let's dive right into today's topic, and that is how to build a lease agreement. Mm-hmm. If you are buying rental properties, you are absolutely ridiculously stupid if you don't have a good lease agreement.
Yeah, I think earlier.
You just let me say that and not get in any trouble?
Oh,
You concur.
I 100% concur. Earlier in the chat, when you introduced the topic, I think it was Kirsten said, just a handshake and handing the keys over is fine. No. Mm-mm. I know she was joking, but no.
Oh, good. I was about to say mean things. It's important because, ultimately, like a lot of contracts, you basically, you go through all the things that could happen, all the worst case scenarios, and you kind of outline them and outline what happens if any of those things happen, right?
Yeah.
And so that way you have that difficult discussion at the very beginning. Both parties sign it, so they're in agreement. And then in most cases, contracts are never, ever looked at ever again.
Yeah.
Because everybody does what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
However, if in the event that somebody doesn't do what they're supposed to do, this legal contract, this piece of paper, is what outlines exactly what happens. And both parties agreed to it ahead of time. So it makes it very clear as to what happens when someone doesn't do what they're supposed to do, right? Or someone messes around. So it is very, very, very important that you have it. It is very important that you outline all of the different things that could happen, right?
Yeah.
And I'll just say, I just hope that you never, ever have to use it.
Yes.
It's if you think about it from a percentage, in a percentage view, how often would you say that we ever have to look at a lease agreement and use it
And refer to it?
and refer to it in a court of law?
Yeah, I would say very
Less than
infrequently.
5? Less than 3?
Yeah, like it's not often that you need to refer to a specific part of a lease when you're trying to defend yourself, or that, every once in a while, like if somebody's like, I need to break my lease, which also happens not very often, then I'll be like, okay, please refer to section, whatever.
Yeah.
Where that's like, it tells you what the penalty is to break your lease type of thing. But that also doesn't happen very often. I think that a lease agreement is really like the most important part of why we have it, is to make sure that the tenant understands what they're responsible to do. It's to, at the beginning of it, to say, hey, I'm going to give you a place to live. You're going to pay me rent. These are the things that you are going to be responsible for during the duration of your tenancy. And if you don't do it, here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's so that they understand, so that they have a really good comprehension of what they need to do in order to happily stay living at a place that I am providing them. And that's really it. It's to educate them. So
Pretty simple.
yeah, so you asked me, how often does it get used? Does it get, submitted into evidence and, need to be leaned on to support you? Not often.
Not often. But it's there.
Yeah.
But it's there and it's important. And a handshake and, and some spit in a handshake can work in most situations. People will honor a handshake. Whatever happened to a handshake anyways? You know what I mean? Didn't like a handshake actually meant
worthless
something.
these days. Yeah.
It's worthless. Now we need to involve contracts and lawyers. I wouldn't say, okay, so you said that we don't use it very often. However, if we didn't use it, how often are tenants not doing what they're supposed to do? That percentage is higher. Would you agree?
Yes.
There is a higher percentage. So the percentage of how often we use it in court is significantly less than how often tenants don't do what they're supposed to do. It does not stop tenants from doing what they're not supposed to do. Okay? However, once we flash it,
It's our way to reel them back in.
it's almost like a
Whack.
it's a good thing to whack them with, to remind them, don't forget
Yeah.
the contract, and then suddenly it's like, okay, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it is just kind of like a reminder. It is kind of just like it's a piece of reference material to remind people on what we agreed on originally.
Yeah. I would say that really what it gets used for when it ends up in a hearing is just to clarify the dates that, when did they move in? When are they supposed to move out? Is it fixed term or periodic? And how much rent are they supposed to pay you?
Yeah.
Those are the main things that get pulled from it when it's submitted as evidence. But it's not like it's like, okay, it says here that they were supposed to do this. Did you do this? Like,
Right.
no, the landlord and tenant laws in every province are laid out through
clearly.
an act, the province's act for landlords and tenants. And your contract should go along with those laws. It should support those laws, but it's not rewriting laws.
No.
It's not throwing anything in there that is different than the laws. It's just saying, hey, we have a contract that we're going to rent to you for these dates at this rent. And then basically the rest is a reiteration of
Yeah.
what they're supposed to do.
But also a series of specific rules for you and your property. Again, so long as it doesn't contradict anything in your provincial laws. So you can have your own individual law rules for your property that do not contradict the provincial laws, that outline things like, well, we'll be getting into them. But I think that when you're building out your own lease agreement, it can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes people will just look on the internet to ask other people and things like that. What are you using? But what I would recommend when you're getting started with building your own lease agreement is just to start with a template. And you can find templates online or you can borrow them from a friend, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people are using AI these days to help build templates. There's lots of ways that you can land on a template. Because ultimately you just need the structure of something, right? You
Yeah.
need the structure, something that supports the provincial laws of whatever province you're in. And it's kind of like a baseline, like a starting point
Yeah.
for you to work off of. And I don't think that you should ever just, take a lease agreement and be like, yay, somebody shared this with me. Okay, slap it down. That's what I'm using.
It's a starting point.
It's a starting point because I think that a lot of people's lease agreements over the years change. They get modified, they get updated based on experience. So this is really finding a template is something for you to start with. For our mentees in the real estate investing master's mentorship program, they get our template.
Yeah, that's
which I think is a huge bonus because it comes with many years of experience of where we've landed in the template that we use, right? So it's kind of like they already get they're a step ahead of the others.
Yeah, there's a lot of clauses that we put into our lease that not only just come from experience of having dealt with many different situations, but also that fit our specific systems that we teach.
Yeah, the way that we landlord.
So we have a very specific way that we landlord. A lot of our students in our mentorship program manage their properties remotely. Even if they live in the same city, we like to teach our students to not go down to your own properties, to treat it like a business, to delegate, to build out systems that make sure that your rental properties don't impede on your lifestyle. We want it to be as safe and reliable as possible. We want it to be affordable. We don't want to be spending a ton of money doing it. And we want to do it in a way that doesn't require a whole heck of a lot of our time. And that's built off of just good systems. And when you build out those systems, you need to make sure that your lease agreement, it fits with your systems, right? So it actually outlines our lease agreement. A lot of the terms and clauses actually outline a lot of the different systems that we have in place so that we get our tenants to agree to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's really important. And when you join REI Master's Mentorship Program, you get access to that. You also get access to all the provincial rules as well. Like we put all of that into our master's vault as well. For each province, you can see what all the different laws are for each province. So you understand it. And the health and safety standards as well for all the different provinces. You got to make sure that, again, you don't contradict anything in your lease that with the provincial health and safety standards, as well as your landlord and tenant laws. And then you want to make sure that it all kind of fits well with your individual systems as well. So that's a big perk for people that join. But ultimately, once you've got that template, then what you want to do is you want to make it your own. That's over time, you'll slowly start adding in your own things that kind of fit your systems, your rules, even individual properties as well. They'll have their own rules, right?
Yeah, and I think really the key words that we can use here is really keeping it simple, like simplicity, because if you've ever read like the Landlord and Tenant Act for your province, sometimes you're going, what do they mean? And you're having to kind of like try to interpret it and be like, well, does this apply to this situation? And it can get confusing. And that is the last thing we want for your lease agreement, is for it to be confusing. We want a tenant to read it and for it to be crystal clear as to what the expectations are, right? And so really keeping it simple. If you're adding clauses or if you have specific rules that, like, from experience you want to make sure is in there, make sure that the wording is simple and easy to understand. And you can really make it your own. Just avoid terms or like legal wording that might confuse them. Yeah. And because it doesn't need to be complicated legal stuff for it to be enforceable. It, like, a common sentence is fine in your lease agreement. The easier it is to understand, the less problems you're going to have.
How many times have you heard people say, like, oh, I got my lawyer to draft it up and it's fucking ironclad. No one's like, I want the best, most secure contract. My lawyer's going to make sure that nothing, I heard about a guy that went to landlord and tenant court and they lost because their lease agreement was crap. So I paid my lawyer $12,000 to write it up. Dude, a 3-pager is more than enough. a one pager is more than enough as long as it outlines everything in there. It could say, please refer to Provincial Residential Tenancies Act and mow the lawn, pay the rent on time.
Don't smoke.
Don't smoke, and no growing marijuana. There you go, done.
Yeah.
That's more than enough. You know what I mean? And when it starts, when it stops, and how much it is.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as that, right? As long as it covers the things that need to be covered in there. There's no like legal wording, or there's no legalese, that can make it more secure. The rules are the rules. And if they don't follow one of the rules, you take them to court. You say, hey, they didn't do this. They say, do you have any proof? You say, yes. They ask the other person, do you have any proof that you did do it? They say, no. Voila. Case closed. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And the reason why we're saying to keep this so incredibly simple and readable is because you actually want them to read it. This is where it gets really complicated, is because sometimes they'll just be like, they'll see this big contract and they'll be like, okay, I just want to move in. And they sign.
I mean, how often do you, like, when you sign up for anything and there's a contract that you need to do, like, accept the terms, the little checkbox? Please, anybody, tell me how many times you read that through. Or do you just scroll to the bottom and hit the check mark and hit continue?
And then what happens?
We don't read contracts these days.
Yeah. So, but you want your tenant to read the contract.
Yes,
because there's rules in there that you want them to understand. Right?
Yeah.
This is important. Like, let's use the example of, no smoking. Well, I didn't know there was no smoking. It's in the contract. You signed it. Well, I didn't read it.
You initialed it.
Right? So you have to make sure that they actually read these things, right?
Yeah.
So the easier it is, the better.
Yeah,
The better.
for
right?
sure. Speaking of things that we really want them to understand, and something that's so important to me is the way in which we communicate with our tenants.
Yes.
And this is something that I really like to clearly outline with them when we're starting the tenancy. And it can either be included in the lease agreement or a separate agreement to the lease agreement. But the standards on communication is super important to me, especially if you're thinking about investing or being a remote landlord, like not being somebody who's very hands-on and, showing up at the property. And, if you want to separate or give yourself some boundaries as to how much your business is impeding on your life and your lifestyle. Wayne talked earlier about how we want this business to not impede on our lifestyle. Then communication is something that is extremely important, because how many of you, and you guys who are live, you can tell me in the chat, how many of you have gotten that call or that text at like 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night when you're putting the kids to bed or trying to wind down, where a tenant's calling you and it's something stupid like either, the dishwasher's broken, need somebody out here right away, or I need to break my lease, or whatever it may be. And you're on the phone like, okay. And then also like your heart rate starts going up as soon as you see their number. And then you're taking the call and you're starting to freak out about, how do I respond to this? They want to break their lease. I don't have a chance to think.
And that's one of those things that I really wish was in writing and I didn't have it over a phone call. Because like now, if I ever need that, so here's the thing, is that like, depends on how far this goes. That's something I really want in writing. I want them to put it in writing because I want to use that potentially as evidence in the event that things don't go the way that we want it to go. And a phone call isn't something that you can provide in evidence because you're not recording your phone calls. So all communication, I prefer not just, so you want to protect your peace. And I think that's what Gabby's getting at here, is that you really, really want to protect your peace. If it's 8 p.m. on Tuesday, it can wait. Most things can wait. Right? We want to make it clear that like, here's how you communicate with us for this. Here's how you communicate with us for that. And then the second part of it is obviously we want legal documentation of everything. We want to have a full filing folder of all communications.
Of all conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that like putting in the lease or putting in an agreement on how they should communicate with you and in what circumstances, they should call you versus email you versus, whatever it may be.
Like an hours of operation?
Or what's that?
Like an hours of operation?
Yeah, hours of operation for sure. And maybe you're somebody who prefers that, tenants communicate with you by text. That's fine. I'm not saying like everybody has their own preferred method of doing business, right? So that's okay. But have it outlined so that there's consistency and you know what to expect, and they know what rules to follow for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it just like for me, if somebody were to ask me like what was the most life-changing system that you put in place in your business as a landlord who manages their properties, I would say a clear communications agreement.
Yeah.
Was by far the biggest transformational, like, holy crap moment.
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of people are like, it's okay. I've only got 1 or 2 tenants. Sure. Wait till you have more.
Yeah.
Wait till you have more. And then it suddenly, it really just, it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
And there's no organization.
Mm-hmm.
There's no system. Like, you're trying to find a text and you don't know where it is, or you're trying to, like, I think they called me, or I can't remember if they texted me.
Yeah.
Maybe they emailed me. Like, if this is a business, and you need to find some central way of communicating with all tenants, and an easy system for you to be able to find communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this right here is so incredibly simple, and yet so few people actually implement it. And maybe you can handle it at 1 or 2 properties, but what are your intentions long term? What are your goals long term? Are you planning on scaling this business, this real estate portfolio, to be bigger? You should be planning from day 1 for what you expect it to become.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're trying to build out systems later on as you're growing, I promise you're going to be too busy.
Yeah.
You'll never do it. Or you'll half-ass do it, but it won't be finished. So you'll still, those people we still text, but these people, we put them on the new system, and then we'll roll them over once it's all.
Yeah.
I've been there. I tried it. It's a terrible idea. Begin with the end in mind. How big do you want your business to be? Plan for success and build it for success.
Yeah, for sure. And Wayne and I also teach our students that, like, when you're starting out a tenancy, what you're really doing is you're planning and gathering information for if it ever goes bad. So right out of the gate, you're collecting things from them. You are, organizing things in a way like, say, communication by email, so that you have evidence of every conversation that's ever been had. You're collecting all of this for the chance that it might end up going south, and you might be using all of this as evidence in a hearing. And so maybe it doesn't feel great to like think that way, that like, oh, okay, I'm starting out this tenancy with this great, little family, expecting that it's going to go bad. It's not really an expectation. It's like risk mitigation.
Right.
It's like, you can't ever know fully how something is going to turn out. You don't know if something's going to change in their circumstances and they lose their jobs and they can't pay rent. You don't know if, there's going to be some sort of mental health crisis, which we've had. We've had an extremely lovely, wonderful tenant, just like massive mental health crisis, and all of a sudden, like, unable to do life anymore. And sorry, not that sounded like almost suicidal or something. I didn't mean that. Just like really
breakdown.
Downhill. Yeah, breakdown. And things can change unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And so you're always kind of setting yourself up out of the gate going, okay, if anything ever goes bad, I have everything bundled nicely where I can just be like, okay, here's my evidence, submit, and be able to support yourself in your business.
Yeah, so you just actually, on that note, and we're going to get back to the lease agreement here in a second, but I just thought this is a really good.
Sorry, there's so many rabbit holes that we can go down.
It's like it's fun though. I love this because it creates and sparks really good conversations, and it provides value to our listeners.
Yes.
And that's the whole reason why we're here. It's not just about here's, step, 1 through 10 on how to build your lease agreement. Don't worry, we'll get into that. We'll talk about what you need to put in there. But ultimately, I think it's more important to understand why. And as we come into these little stories, these little side stories, and these little quests that Gabby takes us on, it really just reaffirms and I guess confirms on like why it is so incredibly important. Because there are random situations you're going to run into where this is going to be very important, like that situation there. And even more so, Gabby was just explaining, I was just explaining a second ago that we submitted an application or a claim for a hearing at the landlord and tenant court. And it should have been, for some people, it would have just been like this, oh my God, this is so stressful. Where do I find this? How do I do this? But Gabby had it done in like, I don't know, like less than half an hour or something like that, maybe less than an hour, because all she had to do was just pull all the communications.
Yeah.
And then submit the claim, fill out the paperwork. The paperwork probably took, like filling it out online probably took the longest.
Yeah, I was going to say filling it out online, and now they make you make like a table of contents and like put it all into one PDF and number it.
Yeah.
That is literally what takes time. The rest of it was like, psh, 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 psh. Yeah.
But it could have been significantly longer and more stressful if Gabby was trying to find all these different things. So the fact that it was a very clear lease agreement, and the fact that she was very organized made it very, very simple. And that's the whole point, is that this is a business. We're not trying to spend a whole day on one claim. We want to get it done as quickly as possible, or make it simple for whoever you're delegating it to be able to submit that paperwork as well. The easier it is that you build it out, and the more you treat it like a business, the easier it is for you to delegate things.
Yeah.
Right? And so let's get back into the lease agreement, and like specifically like what types of clauses you want to put into your lease agreement. And I would say my advice would be to focus on like real world problems or real issues that you feel like you're going to be running into, and responding in your lease with clear instructions or clear guidelines into what happens, what's allowed, and what happens if they don't listen.
Yeah, I would say that, like, because, you know, we said you start with a template, and really a template is going to have like the laws, you know what I mean? Like the things that are pertinent to what the law is. And then I feel like the clauses that we're talking about now are more of like your house rules. Like, what is important to you about the tenants who are going to be occupying your property? So we already mentioned things like smoking.
Yeah.
Is this, you know, a smoke-free place? You're going to want that in there, because the Landlord and Tenant Act does not cover whether or not you can smoke in a property. That is somebody's personal rule on their property that they own, right?
Side note, the property that we're buying that I have to go to at 11 o'clock today, that person was a big smoker.
Yeah.
There is literally, as soon as you walk down,
as
soon as you walk down the stairs, there is a literal wall that you
walk through a wall. You can
ever
feel
like,
it.
You ever feel like see those alien movies where like you walk into the alien spaceship and there's just like like I walk through that and it's like instantly it's like
yeah.
It is visual. You have to be watching on YouTube to see
Wayne emerge through the wall.
It was bad. And then it's just almost like an overwhelming amount of Glade, plugins trying to mask it.
Yeah.
We don't want that at our rental properties.
No.
I don't know about you. Maybe you love the smell of 30 years of cigarette smoke and Glade plugins, but that shit makes me sick.
Yeah.
We don't want that in our rental properties because, one, it's kind of doing long-term kind of damage to our properties. And secondly, what about the next person that moves in?
Yeah.
Right? So we certainly don't want smoking, at least for me.
Yeah.
To each their own, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, for sure. Something else that's come up over, I don't know when they introduced this, but like the legalization of cannabis.
Yeah.
Was a big one where all of us landlords had to amend their leases to account for not only smoking, because of course we always wanted to include that you can't smoke, anything in the property, but also growing, right? Because it became legal to be able to grow a certain amount of plants.
Yeah.
And the problem with this being is that, when people are growing things inside your property, that's creating extra moisture, lots of people put in like irrigation systems, and so they're like wiring stuff up and adding plumbing and like all that kind of stuff. And so you think like, oh, that'll never happen. It'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll happen. If you don't tell them they can't, you'll eventually have somebody try to do it.
Some other things that you're going to want to put in there, I'll just note a few examples just to kind of give you guys a few ideas, would be parking. If there's any parking requirements.
Yeah.
We just had it last week that we had to tell a tenant that they cannot park on the front lawn. It wasn't in our lease.
Yeah, didn't think to add that one to the lease.
Builder sent us a picture. It's like, someone's on the lawn. Like, oh, for crying out loud. I thought that one was a no-brainer. But parking, that's an unnecessary one. But I just thought it was funny that as soon as I thought of it, I was like, oh, we should probably add to our lease that you can't park on the front lawn.
Wayne always tries to get me. He's like, we really need to add this into the lease. I'm like, Wayne, we're not adding that into the lease. Like, it is such an obscure situation. That's the other thing is that, like, you don't want to put every single little thing that you think could ever happen. We're talking high level, like what are the bad things that we really need to outline? All the other stuff you can deal with one off. If somebody puts, like somebody put a mobile washing machine, like
Oh,
just like
yeah.
a small little unit. And of course, we didn't have that in our lease that they can't own one of those. But what it was doing, it was creating all this extra moisture in the home, which was
Humidity.
actually causing, humidity, which was actually causing issues that could end up as damage. And so immediately we were like, you need to get rid of that. You can't have something like that. This is what's happening. This is why. And they removed it. We didn't need it in the lease to be able to enforce that. We
Yeah.
just needed to tell them and educate them, right?
Yeah.
So you don't need everything that could ever go wrong written into your lease.
Yeah. I'd say guest policies is probably
Yes.
an important one, though, right? Guest policies, like making it clear as like how long someone can stay, because you know, in your lease, especially when it comes to adults, we have all of the adults on the lease, and then children, it doesn't matter. But you know, if you were to do an inspection and find that there were an additional 3 or 4 people living there, I think that you'd want to know that. A couple things. One, it might increase the utility usage if you're, you know, responsible for paying the utilities. But the other would be that, like, wait a second, like I approved you two. I did not approve these other 4 people, you know, your posse or your entourage to come and live here. And you want to know who's living in your property, right? And you want to do your background check. You want to do your criminal record, your credit checks, and all those other types of things. And if you found out that somebody else was living in the property that you weren't comfortable with, then, you know, it might be, you want to have it clear in there. So that way, if you ever were to take it to court, that it, you know, they couldn't be like, well, they were just staying for a little while. They were just staying for the weekend. They were just staying for a week. They were having trouble. They got kicked out of their house or something along those lines. If you had clear rules that said no to that, then it'd be a little bit easier than I didn't approve that person, right? Again, clear rules really help in this situation. There's a great example of something that could have happened. Noise is another one. Noise.
Yeah, I would say with noise, not as important because your city will have bylaws for
True.
noise as well. So,
What about in multi-unit properties, though?
yeah, for sure. I think that, you know, multi-unit properties, you can definitely put something in there just as kind of like a guideline so that you're saying it out of the gate with them. You're going through it on the lease with them. And it's not just waiting for there to be a noise complaint and then, you know, call bylaw, you know,
Right.
it's actually like saying like, hey, no, especially if it comes to you needing to deal with it and it's not just bylaw being called. It's like, you know, in your lease there, you know, as per section, yada, yada, there are quiet hours and, you know, you need to be respectful of other people's peace and enjoyment. So it is something you can kind of like lean back on opposed to just being like bylaw says. And
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So yeah, for sure. In multi-units, I would say more important than in like a single family.
But, you know, on that note, you know, the topic of pets. And, you know,
Yes, this
I
is
know
a
that
big one.
pets is very big and you want to be very clear about not just are pets allowed, but which pets. You know what I mean? Specifically, which pets. Like you can say that this one pet is approved, right? And I would even be as clear as to say which pet, the pet's name,
The pet's
you know what I
name,
mean? That they're what type of, you know, animal they are. So that way they don't like, well, that pet died, so I got this pet now, right? Or it says I can have 2 pets, so they can just put any pets.
Yeah, and actual like guidelines and verbiage. Like if you know Willie the cat ceases to live at the property, you must obtain written approval from the landlord to be able to get another pet, right? So having that verbiage in there that they can't just like be like, oh, poor old Willie died, let's go get a kitten. You know what I mean? So it's making sure that there's approval for all these things, but also, you know, expectations of like pet waste removal. Like if there's a dog and, you know, it's a multi-unit property again, and the dog's going out into the backyard and pooping, and maybe they're only cleaning up the poop once a week.
Yeah.
That's not okay when there's other people who are utilizing the same yard space.
In a shared
right?
common space.
In a shared common space. So, you know, like expectations that that pet is being picked up after immediately when they go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But also maybe that they're not being left outside unattended if it's
For
shared
safety
common
reasons?
space for safety reasons. You don't want poor little Sally, you know, the 5-year-old downstairs going outside and getting, you know, even just knocked over. An
Yeah.
excited dog knocks them over and all of a sudden you have some sort of legal problem, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then back to the previous one about noise, you can be clear about like what the
With the pets, yes.
with the pets and
Yes.
the noise. See, you know, someone watching TV a little bit too loud or stomping their big iron feet too much, and someone being downstairs like feeling uncomfortable about the noise, that's one thing, and not really much you can do about that.
Yeah.
But a dog that is continuously barking,
Mhm.
right? That could be a big issue. And what we want, especially in multi-unit properties, is that we want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable, because we want to make sure that everyone stays and has peaceful enjoyment while they're living there. There's a couple questions that came through. I just
I was
wanted to
going
make
to
sure.
say, yeah.
There's some great questions that have come up. So I'm going to go back to like 10 minutes ago when we were talking about, you know, making a claim at the landlord and tenant board. There was a question about the file fee. When you file a claim, you typically pay a fee. And someone asked, you know, do you charge them for that? Yes. So what you can do, at least in Alberta, I understand, is that you can add that $75 filing fee to your claim to make sure that they have to pay for it
if you win
if
the
you
claim.
win.
Yeah. If you were to lose it, then obviously you wouldn't be awarded it being added to what they owe you. But yes, I always select that. It's an option that you can click on to have it added to their.
Oh, it's literally like a checkbox.
Yeah, you need to like click
Okay.
the checkbox to have that.
And Chris says it's the same in Ontario.
Yeah.
Another question was, do you have your regular property visits to the property listed in your lease?
Not exactly.
No.
There is a there is a section that goes over that, you know, it's not really specifically inspections or like quarterly inspections, but just really reiterating the law that we are able to inspect the property given proper notice, basically.
Considering the fact that it's already in
it's already part
the
of the
Residential
Act.
Tenancies Act, we don't need to add that in there.
Yeah, so that wasn't something that we tailored or anything like that. That would have been part of the original template that we worked off of. That just reiterated what the law is that we need to give proper notice to be able to inspect the property.
And when we're inspecting the property, obviously it's going to be for maintenance and those types of things. That just the regular maintenance that's required with, you know, owning a property.
Mm-hmm.
If you own your own home, you're the one changing your filter and things like that, and cleaning out the lint traps and things in order to make sure that the property is in good working order and also safe. But additionally, while you're there, that's your opportunity to check on things like, well, how many feces are in the yard right now? Are they, you know, taking good care of the property? Are there other animals living here that we weren't aware of?
Are there other occupants living there?
Are there other adults living there? Willie the cat was brought in by Jimmy the, I don't know, come up with something.
Jimmy the cousin.
Jimmy the cousin Jimmy. He brought Willie the cat. And that guy smokes. he smokes. Anyways, that's why you would obviously do your regular inspections on the property and visits to the property, because you want to make sure that everything is being followed. All the rules are being followed on a regular basis. And like I said, just to maintain the property. And then the last question was, how do you feel about fish tanks? I think that it really depends on who's responsible for utilities.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I don't really, you know, I'm no fish expert. I maybe had a goldfish or two as a child, but I, you know, people obviously sometimes have really big fancy setups with like massive tanks that take a lot of water and that take up electricity
more so, yeah.
Yeah, because they need like all the warmers and the lights and like all that kind of stuff. So I personally don't know how much utilities that draws out, but you know, I can imagine that
Yeah.
it's relatively significant.
You said a lot of water. I'm like, it's not using water. It's like it's running
Filling
through
it.
a pump
Yeah.
and maybe filling it, but it isn't any different than a bathtub. But
True.
you
Yeah.
know, I see Carmen in the live chat here. She says, "What about the leakage of fish tanks?"
Mm-hmm.
That does scare me. When you have a large structure,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, that could.
Break.
I've
or-
never
yeah.
heard of it. I mean, you see it a lot in Jason Statham movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, where they
Fish
shoot
everywhere.
and then the sharks and the fish come out and they splash everywhere. But I don't think that
That's a normal occurrence.
we're not renting to Jet Li here. So I don't think that this is going to be a common thing. But, you know, it's a very valid point. And at the end of the day, it's your property. You get to say yes or no, right? So ultimately, it's up to you. We've never had it in there that said no to fish tanks. To be honest with you, I don't think we've ever had a tenant request a fish tank. Except for like very
Very on.
early tenant had a fish tank that we didn't know about.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
Yeah.
other than that one, I
No,
can't
we've
think of
never had
any
fish in
tanks.
any of our rentals ever since. It's never been a request.
Interesting, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, so some other things. Obviously, I'll just list off a couple more as we wrap up today's show. Cleanliness expectations. You know what I mean? It's very hard to clearly identify or
What's clean? Yeah.
what's clean. But,
Personal
you know,
standard.
even like the feces thing, just being like, there will be no feces left in the yard ever. Like it has to be cleaned up immediately. So if we go there and we find one piece of dog poo, it is done. Like there cannot be any. If you want to have a dog and they want to poo in the yard, fine, but you pick it up immediately. That's the clear rule.
By the way, I wouldn't have that rule on a single family unit. You know, if they want to pick it up every few days or whatever, it's their own space.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. In a shared area is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But like air conditioners and windows can be another one. And lastly, any like maintenance requirements as well that are their responsibility. Is there a minimum requirement? Is there a certain things that they're responsible for maintenance, or up to a certain dollar amount
Like a
that they're
threshold?
responsible, a threshold that they're responsible for? You can put those things in there as well. Light bulbs, batteries, those types of things. Are you being called out for a 9-volt battery every time
The smoke detector.
the smoke
starts
detector
beeping?
starts to beep, right? Are you required to do that, or are they required to do that? And then similarly, if it goes out, you know, and they move out, are you going to be deducting that from their security deposit? Those types of things. Very clear on those things. I mean, it's a $2 battery, whatever it is.
Probably more than that these days.
Yeah.
Maybe an $8 battery.
Goddamn inflation. But
Yeah.
again, making it clear so that you know who's responsible for something like that. Because if they email you or call you and say, hey, this thing's beeping, I need you to send somebody out, and then you go down there and drive down an $8 battery, I'm like, give me a break. But if you try and tell them, hey, that's your responsibility, and it's not in the lease, guess what? You are driving down there and getting a ladder and, you know, replacing that 9-volt battery at the top of the stairwell, right? So just a bunch of different things, just to give you guys some ideas of some things to think about, because in a lot of cases, most people don't change these things until much later on after they dealt with it. So hopefully this is valuable for you guys to inspire some different ideas, some things that you might want to put in your own. But again, not overdoing it. You certainly don't need to repeat anything that's already in your Provincial Tenancies Act.
Yeah.
There's no point. It's what you're doing is you are adding more stuff that is pulling them away, drawing them away from actually reading the stuff that you want them to read.
Yeah. Unless it's important to you, like unless it's something you really want them to understand.
Yes.
Then you don't need to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think that one of the most important things is that, like, I want to keep this as simple as possible, and I want them to actually read it. I want them to understand the rules that are in place and why they're in place and what happens if they don't, so that, because they're going to take that lease, they're going to throw it in a drawer, or they're just going to sign it on DocuSign. They're never going to read it ever again. It's not like they're keeping it up on the fridge and checking it every week and be like, oh, I wonder, am I allowed to do that? No, they're not. They're just going to, whatever they remember is what they're going to remember. So one other way, I think, you know, Gabby, you mentioned touching on, you know, initialing certain areas. That's really important. But I think the most important thing you can do as a landlord is to actually go through it with them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that, you know, sitting down with them or, you know, on a phone call, whatever it may be, but going through the lease with them and really highlighting, you know, maybe not going through every section because some of it is just, your standard stuff, but like the sections that you really want to make sure that they understand. Things like that, there's no smoking, or that if they want to break the lease, early, this is what's going to happen.
Yes.
Maybe there's a lease breakage fee. Like, you want to make sure that they've heard it, they understand it. And at very, minimum, they're initialing those sections. Like if you've drawn attention and said, initial here, and they're like, oh, what am I initialing?
Right.
You know what I mean? Then we know that hopefully they've at least read those sections that are important to you.
I think that most tenants, I'm going to remove tenants from, and I'm just going to say most people are reasonable. Most people, if they understand what the rules are, they will follow them. It's very, like, I hate how people demonize or villainize tenants as like, oh, they're terrible, they're the worst, they always do stupid shit. It's probably just you not explaining what your rules are more clearly and
No
making
boundaries.
You know what I mean? Maybe you put up all these, I don't do this, and I don't talk to them. Here, go sign this. It's your responsibility to understand that. Yeah, in a way, and if the world were perfect and everybody gave a shit. But guess what? The world isn't perfect, and nobody gives a shit about your stupid rules. Nobody wants to read it because they're all too busy, right? And if they're not busy, they would rather be doing something else than reading your stupid lease. Mm-hmm. So let's keep it as simple as possible to make sure that they actually do read all the things, so they do understand it, and then they do everything they're supposed to do, rather than just villainizing them for being lazy. Because guess what? We're all lazy, okay? So spend the time, help them, make it easier for them to understand. Spend the time, screw your time just for a minute until you get this all done, right? And so that way they don't do anything that they're not supposed to do, and then you have to bring down the hammer. Here comes Chris in Hamilton, bringing down the hammer, right? It was like, you can't do this. I'm evicting you for this. And they're just like, I didn't know. If you explain it a little bit better, maybe they wouldn't have done it. And maybe you would have had a better relationship, and maybe they would have stayed a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Right? We're kind of leaving the door open to giving people the opportunity to make a mistake. Let's see if we can be proactive and prevent that from happening, so that you have a happy, healthy landlord and tenant relationship where they stay a long time. You continue to rent it out to a nice family. They do everything they're supposed to do. You don't have any damages. You don't have any things you have to go after them for. And everything is just wonderful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think that the lease agreement is really only a part of the system. And I think that it really supports the other systems that you put in place, which are almost more important. The things like, how you're conducting your move-in inspections, how you're collecting rent, how you're dealing with maintenance requests, all those types of things all kind of like come together. And like you talked about at the beginning of the show, it all just like all the laws, the rent agreement, the systems that you put in place, they all come together in this like bigger system that helps support how you manage your properties and how you maintain a lifestyle where it doesn't impede on your life. Yeah. And, being a landlord, a lot of people have all this fear surrounding it. They don't want to deal with all these situations, but it's really setting up these beautiful systems that all work together can make it really easy and really stress-free. Some situations are going to cause stress, but you have a system for it that you can put the situation through and get the desired outcomes.
Yeah.
And so if you can build these great systems that all work together, managing tenants is quite easy.
Yeah. Sets you up for success.
Yeah.
If you guys need more help with this, obviously we talk a lot about systems today, and that's because for many, many years we've been doing this now, and we've done it successfully. And things happen, and it's the systems that you put in place that kind of protect you for when things happen, like this lease agreement, building out the right lease agreement and understanding the steps that you need to take in order to, enforce your lease agreement. If you guys need help with that, we have the REI Masters Mentorship Program. We can teach you everything that we know so that you can succeed and reduce the risk for you pretty much close to zero, right? We can't prevent tenants from not paying rent. I can't offer that 100% guarantee. But what I can prevent, or what I can do, is make sure that you do the proper diligence ahead of time to reduce it to the smallest risk, and you know exactly all the steps that you need to take if and when they do, to make sure that, again, you're mitigating and lowering your risk to the close to zero. Yeah. So if you guys want to learn more about that, you want to learn more about all the different strategies that we teach, how we scaled our business to where it is today, how we built out our systems, go to reimasters.ca, book a discovery call, have a chat with me or with Gabby, find out if it's right for you. And looking forward to chatting with you guys. That wraps up today's show. I got to get going. I got meetings. I got places to be. But I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
Yeah. Happy Monday. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening. Want to be coached personally by Wayne and Gabby? Then you should join the Real Estate Investing Masters Mentorship Program. Details are in the show notes to get started.